Okay.
So here is the story. What would you like to hear? Alaska. So first of all, we have an Alaskan Jewish museum here, so you could always come here to visit, and you'll get the full story of the Alaska Jewish Museum. Remind me exactly which community are you? Chicago?
We're in Chicago. Yes.
We just had here several people from Chicago this Shabbos. We had a very, very special Achnasat Sefer Torah this Sunday, and there was three Jewish camps were here this Sunday, this Shabbos and Sunday. One a yeshiva camp called Yachad in New York. And then two other camps. One is Seneca camp, and some of you maybe have heard of it, and the other camp is Camp Canfe in New York. So we're all here for vacation, and they joined us for the Achnasat Sefer Torah. So it was a very special event, big Kiddush Hashem here in Anchorage, and we had a parade in the streets and all that stuff. So now I'll tell you the story of Alaska. The story of Alaska started. I'll tell you the Jewish story of Alaska. The non-Jewish story you'll have to go. So other sources. However, the non-Jewish story is also a Jewish story. So I'll tell you the Jewish story, the non-Jewish story, and that is that the idea in our Jewish museum, we are going to have an exhibit which is going to point out that the idea to purchase Alaska from Russia is also a Jewish idea, and Jewish people lobby it. And the reason for it, why Alaska was sold, because the Tsar needed cash, and he didn't care to sell Alaska, and he sold it for 7.2 million or something. And in the first year of the two Jewish people from San Francisco, who actually de facto with the government of Alaska, because they got the exclusive license to make business in Alaska, in the first years they put in the treasury only their taxes for what business they did here, more than $7 million that they paid for Alaska in 1 year of business. We talk about in the 150 years ago. So that shows you the Jews know how to buy and sell. They understand something in business. Anyway, so the Jewish people actually have been very involved. There was a company which is called the Alaska Commercial Company. It's still existing today, even though it's by different hands, but it's still existing. And we actually honored them 3 years ago at our Jewish Gala, and we had a letter that the owner of the company sent to his people. He never came to Alaska, but he sent his people in Alaska, and he said that he's sending extra food and extra clothing and extra stuff for people in middle of the winter. Native people, regular people who come here to work, to look for gold, will not have what to eat and what to dress, but the clothing is commanding them not to sell it, not to try and make money on them because they're desperate, but to just give it away. Very interesting letter about a Jewish person running the show in Alaska from San Francisco, the couple of Hetten, because the Jews are. Anyway, so to make the story short, I'll jump from the purchase of Alaska straight to the Lubavitcher of Alaska. One day we're going to have an exhibit in the museum which is called the Lubavitch Expedition to Alaska. Everyone knows about Seward's expedition, this expedition. We have the Lubavitch Expedition to Alaska. That started in 1970. There were two young rabbis, Rabbi Shmuel Langzam, the rabbi probably knows of him, and Rabbi Shmuel Spritzer, two young rabbis in Crown Heights in the yeshiva in 770 by the Rebbe. And Lubavitch boys, as you all know, from 1941, when the Rebbe came to America, the Rebbe made a new minhag, a new custom. All the yeshiva boys go on vacation in the summer. The Rebbe said that the Lubavitch vacation is to go to small towns around the world where there is no Jewish infrastructure, and to find the Yiddelach there and to try to sell them some Yiddishkeit. That's the Lubavitch vacation. So these two Bochum, Shmuel Spritz and Langsam, used to go every summer to this place. For 1968, Shmuel Spritzer asked our Chodakov if he could go to Alaska, and Chodakov said, the Rebbe said no. 1969, he said no. 1970, he came out of the Rebbe's room and he said, Lubavitch is going to Alaska. The Rebbe gave permission to go to Alaska, and he said it'll be a very special mission for the first time, and there will be a contact with you all the time. The Rebbe wants to know a report of the state of Jewish life in Alaska. And I have the report that these two young Bachran, they were maybe 21 years old, that they gave to the Rebbe from 1 week in Anchorage, 1 week in Fairbanks, and 1 week in Juneau, the three major cities. And what they wrote to the Rebbe 50 years ago is still true today. Even the people that they talk about, some of them just passed away, and some of them are still alive. Which means it's really like they understood, these young kids understood the situation of Alaska. And the reason why I'm telling you that story is because one of the people that they met the first time they came to Alaska, he was the president of the Reformed Temple in Anchorage. Now, to understand the state of Judaism in Alaska, the president was not Jewish because his wife was Jewish, child was Jewish, but he wasn't Jewish. No one else wanted to have the job, so he took the job because he cared for Yiddishkeit more than others. Now, this president's story, his name was Erling Christensen. That was his name, Erling Christensen. And he was from Denmark. He was a sailor, a young sailor during the World War II, and he saw the Nazis did to the Jews in Europe. And when he came to New York, he just jumped the border. He didn't want to go back ever to Europe again. And he was hanging out with Jews, and unfortunately, she was a orphan, his wife. She was the daughter of a rabbi who passed away young. And they became friends, and they decided to get married in 1951. And the entire family went to the city hall crying when this marriage took place. And they decided to run away as far as they can to Alaska, which was not a territory, was only a territory, was not even a state yet. They came to Alaska and they had a baby, and he said to his wife, the baby is Jewish, we'll raise him Jewish, and then I have to know what Judaism means, and he started to study Judaism very seriously. So when the yeshiva boys came to Alaska in 1970, he was very helpful to them. He opened the doors of the synagogue, of the Reformed Temple, and they confirmed it. He had no problem with Chabad, not Chabad, Reform. Even he understood the differences, but because of being a non-Jew, and he also had a very special understanding of the depth of Judaism. So to the point that when I later on, I'll tell you the story, that he was very, very dedicated. Anyway, so when the boys were here, when they left Anchorage and they went to Fairbanks, he sent immediately a letter to the Rebbe to thank the Rebbe for sending the boys to Alaska. And in his letter, he wrote, it's a beautiful letter. In this letter, he wrote how he was so impressed and so inspired by the truth of Torah that the boys projected, and how they live what they preach. And he writes to the Rebbe that he wishes one day he'll be part of that truth. And actually, to the boys, he said very interesting outlook of a person. The way he said it, he said, there is Reform, conservative, and Orthodox, but he knows that there is a truth of Torah, and nothing which is not the truth will not survive the time. It's a very interesting outlook that the man had. But therefore, he wants to become an Orthodox convert, and he knows that that's the only, ultimately, eternally, that will stay. Anyway, so to make the story short, the boys 3 weeks later they come back to New York. The Rebbe's secretary, Rabbi Yamin Klein, goes over to Shmuel Spritz, to Shmuel Langenzer, who was his relative, and he brings him the envelope of this Mr. Erling Christensen, and he shows him how the Rebbe made an error to his name Christensen, and the Rebbe wrote one word, Yehudi, ? Is he Jewish? I mean, obviously, when you have a name Christensen, that's obviously you're not Jewish. It's not, especially in 1970. So they said to Rabbi Klein that they'll write to the Rebbe report and they'll say exactly who he is. And that's what they did. That was the story, and they moved on. Fast forward 21 years. 1991, I come to Alaska. I know you want to know why I decided to go to Alaska, why I'm there, why I'm there. But the reason is because, as you all know, after the Holocaust, the Rebbe said to us that the most noble job to do today in the world after the Holocaust is to go everywhere where Jews are and to try to bring them back, because as you all know, it's not only that the Holocaust killed 6 million of our Jews, but even more so, it destroyed the spirit of the other 6 million. As the Nazis themselves wrote, and those of you who have ever read one of the Nazi books, they wrote that they understand that they can't kill every Jew physically in the world, but they'll give such a blow to the elite of Jewry in Europe, to the Frum Jews, to the Orthodox Jews, and to the Catholic Jews, and to the cultural Jews. They'll give such a blow that every Jew in the world will give up on being Jewish. And actually, in a way, that will happen after the Holocaust, that the Jewish spirit was broken. And the Rebbe redeemed the Jewish people from that broken spirit. And the Rebbe said the opposite. As the famous saying that Rabbi Jonathan Sachs always said, that the Nazis hunted every Jew with hate and the Rebbe hunted every Jew with love. So the Rebbe said the most noble thing in the world to do is, it's important to be a doctor and a lawyer. What's more important is to go back and to take all those Jews that they had to run away from their communities in Europe as their yeshivas and synagogues and families, and were thrown away into the new world, into Australia, into England, wherever they went in America, with nothing. So the Rebbe said that we have to make sure that there's not one town, in one city, in one country, one state that doesn't have the infrastructure. There should never be a Jewish child who said he never saw Torah because there was no Torah in the town. There was no rabbi in the town. And to bring them back and to understand that this is the greatest mission we could do, is to rebuild the broken lives of those Jews and their children and grandchildren. So as a bacher, as a student, I knew that that's what I want to do. I want to be a shliach like this, like a rabbi. But I was looking for a place where there is nothing there that really needs to start everything. So I was a young student. In Lubavitcher, there's another custom that every yeshiva boy, after he finishes college, rabbinical college, he goes for a 2-year mission on a yeshiva to go there where he could help Jews. So I was 2 years in 1983 and 84 in Seattle. Now the shliach in Seattle, the rabbi in Seattle, when he went to shlichus in Rabbi Levitin, when he went to shlichus, I'm Shalom Levitin, when he went to shlichus to Seattle in 1972, the Rebbe gave him 5 states. He told him he was responsible for the 5 states. But he was responsible for Alaska and Oregon and so on. But in 1991, when the time has come to establish a Chabad center in Alaska, he came to me because I was a student in Seattle, and from Seattle the boys would go all the time to Alaska to have Yom Tov. Seattle to Alaska is considered a close place. It's only 3.5 hours flight. Therefore, this is considered the closest Jewish community to us. Even though there is another Jewish community which is closer, which is Edmonton and Alberta, but because of the border, so in reality, that Seattle is closer to us. So, to make the story short, so when I came to Alaska in 1991, and before we left to Alaska, there was already a small Jewish community, and I'll tell you later the story. And they're waiting for me, and I come to their forum, and everyone said hi. One person said Shalom Aleichem, which is the official Jewish way of greeting another Jew. Shalom Aleichem, peace and harmony. And I was surprised, in saying Shalom Aleichem here in Anchorage. Everyone said hi. And finally, that person, at the end of the party, he asked me if I'm going to read the Megillah tomorrow morning. I said, sure, at my home. He went around to everybody in the party and told them, Rabbi's going to read the Megillah tomorrow morning. Nobody came. He was the only one who came. He came, and after a week, he sat me down and he said, listen, Rabbi, you came here to open a Chabad house. You're the first Orthodox permanent rabbi here. So here I have a job for you. I said, what? You're going to convert me. I said, really? I'm a 26-year-old rabbi. I just arrived 1 week. I'm not converting anybody. I said, you will convert me. I'm waiting for you for 21 years. Every year, rabbis came in and they said, oh, we're not converting you because we are not permanent. But you are permanent. You're going to convert me. And every week he was putting pressure on me again and again. I must convert. He even told me that he was trying, he made a conversion with a Reform rabbi. But at the time, the Reform rabbi in Anchorage didn't do a conversion with a circumcision, the bris. So he said to me, it didn't make sense to him because he read the Torah, read the Bible, and said, Abraham had a bris. So how can you have a conversion without a bris? So he himself figured out that can be. So he went to the hospital and he asked for a surgery for a bris. It just didn't make sense then. He was such an honest person. He saw that it doesn't make any sense. So anyway, the bottom line was that after 3 months, I finally told them, I only do Chabad conversions, even though no such a thing doesn't exist, but I didn't know what to do. I pushed them up. I said, no, Chabad, only Chabad. I said, what is Chabad conversion? I said, you have to have a hat with a long top. He said, I'll do that. So you have to have a beard. I'll do that. I said, I want to do it in New York. I'll take no time in New York. Anyway, I didn't know what to do. I called the authorities in New York, the great rabbis, and they said, just bring him. If the guy knows everything. He had the whole Talmud in English at home, the only person in English. He had the Jewish press coming to him every week. He just knew, he was like a walking encyclopedia. He knew everything. He had the Code of Jewish Law in English. He knew everything. Finally, to make the story short, I take him to New York 3 months after I came. And we go on the street on Kingston Avenue. Next, none of you have had or merited to be in New York, to be in 770, the Rebbe's room, the Rebbe's headquarters, or to go to the Rebbe's oil. If you didn't have a chance to do it, I tell you that the best investment ticket you ever bought is going to the Rebbe's oil. The best investment ever. So the ultimate place today in the world to feel a spiritual connection to your godliness and to really feel spiritual, you feel godliness in your heart, is today at the Rebbe's oil, the Rebbe's resting holy place. There's no other place in the world. So the $500, no, it's only $200 from Chicago. Believe me, it's what I'm sure the rabbi will make a trip with everyone. You all vote for going to a trip before the high holidays, right, Rabbi? You agree for that, right? So I'm sure many of you already went, but those of you who didn't go, it's worth your money. And if you're not, you get your money back. I promise. You give me the money back. So anyway, so during the story, I'm going to the Rebbe, and I'm going to Kingston Avenue, and this young rabbi, who then was a young rabbi, then he was already in his 50s, he stops me, Spritzer. He knew I was going to Alaska. He looks on this man, and he said, "Oh my God, that's him." I said, "What? What is him?" He never told me the story. He took me aside. He said, "Listen, this is the guy that Rebbe wrote about him. That one question. The only reaction to the whole report of Alaska and everything was Yehudi about him. And now you bring him to the Rebbe to convert. You understand what's going on here?" The Rebbe, obviously the name Schneerson is anyway. He converted by the chief rabbi of Crown Heights. My mom at the time was one of the trip conversions he ever made. And we went to the Rebbe by Dallas to get the Rebbe's blessing. The Rebbe to give out $1 for charity, and everyone knows about it. And the Rebbe actually stopped him and his wife. And the Rebbe gave a whole speech about Alaska in English. The Rebbe said to them like this: Alaska is very far from here. The Rebbe says far, it means far physically and spiritually. And it gives a cold attention when you say the word Alaska, which means it makes you think of coldness. The Rebbe said, but to live in Alaska, you need to have a stronger temperature in the houses to make it warm. When it comes to Judaism, to spreading Judaism, I said, don't think of coldness, but the opposite. Think of a strong temperature to spread Judaism, especially with a much strength in Alaska. They were blessed. The next week he went, I went back to Alaska, but he stayed another week. And the next week he went back with Rabbi Spritzer, with a guy who we saw in 1970 for 1 week. And he asked the Rebbe, should I change my name, Schneerson? The Rebbe said, certainly. And he changed it to Yitzhak, the famous Jethro from the Bible. He felt that this is the name fits for him. He called himself Jethro ben Avraham, Yitro ben Avraham, and he changed the fisherman's document. And he became a big supporter of us, and he supported us in every way possible. Physically, he built out sukkahs. He was a good carpenter, and he gave big donations, and spiritually he came to every minyan. Literally, he became a chassid. And it was just amazing. And he actually passed away in the day the Rebbe came to America for chassid. So just because his story really shows the Rebbe story in America, how the Rebbe changed America to that. So this is the one little story about Chabad in Alaska. And if we have more time, I'll share with you one other story. And it's also an amazing story from the Rebbe, which is related to Alaska. And that story started in 1974. 1974, there was a young Orthodox couple, a young rabbi, who got the job to be a chaplain in the Air Force in Alaska. He took the job. He was in New York. His name was Rabbi Israel Hader. He was in New York, and he traveled. He decided to travel to Alaska by car, and to see America. So it took them a few weeks to travel in the summer. As they went from every place, they were in the Jewish community. So they came to Minnesota. Minnesota, there is the famous Chabad Rabbi Moshe Feller. As they went to his Chabad house. Come to his Chabad house. So there was those 2 days there was a big celebration. They had relatives in Minnesota. They went with them to celebration. And Rabbi Feller started chatting with them and said, "Where are you going?" He said, "To Alaska." So the first question of Rabbi Feller is a responsible shliach says, "How's a young Orthodox couple going to a place without a mikveh?" So they said, "Yeah, but we spoke to the Air Force and they'll fly my wife to Seattle and this and that." So it happened to be that Rabbi Chodakov had a conversation with him that week, and he remembered that story. So he told Rabbi Chodakov that a couple went by and he told Rabbi Chodakov that he has a young shliach, his name was Rabbi Gershon Grosban, young shliach that is by him now. And the young shliach said, he has a little bit experience of building mikvahs. So if they want, he'll come to Alaska to build a mikvah. That's he told Rabbi Chodakov, the Rebbe's secretary. But the Rebbe's response was to get a hold of the Air Force and to ask them that if they will agree to give us space in the Air Force, build a mikveh, Chabad will build a mikveh. And that's what happened. Rabbi Gershon Grosban went with Rabbi Mendel from Montreal. It was the middle of the winter. In the beginning, Rabbi Borkin was supposed to go, the head Chabad rabbi in Heights, but he didn't feel good. So Rabbi Mendel went with them, and this was the only mikveh in America that made a mikveh from snowwater. Because in Alaska in those days, now with global warming it's a little different, but in Alaska in those days, even when I came to Alaska 30 years ago, we could not get a drop of rain in the entire winter, not a drop of rain. So they had no choice to do on snowwater. The snowwater is a kosher mikveh. Anyways, they made a mikveh, and he became close to Chabad from the building of that mikveh. And also they had problems with giving birth. There was issues that they saw really amazing miracles in that. Anyway, in 19, he was in Alaska only for 2 years, from 74 to 76, and he left. He went to other airports. But the Rebbe kept continuing writing to him to be in touch with the people in Alaska. And the Rebbe saw him as the person responsible for Alaska. Then in 1980, he already made Aliyah to Israel. And he came to visit New York. He came to a private audience of the Rebbe to Yechidus. And the Rebbe tells him at the end of the Yechidus to go to Alaska and check the mikveh. And the Rebbe says to check if there is anything else he could do for the Jewish community. So he said, he had a ticket. The audience of the Rebbe was on Thursday, and he had a ticket to go to Israel on Monday. He said to the Rebbe, "I only have a weekend." But the Rebbe said, "Even 1 hour." As he walked out of the door, the Rebbe said, "Even 1 hour you could accomplish." He didn't pay attention to that word, even 1 hour. Anyway, he went to Anchorage. He called in, in Anchorage right now in the summer. My old Shabbos doesn't start from midnight. It's called the midnight Shabbos. So he took a flight to New York. In the morning in New York, he came here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He had the whole day. So we went to the family's canoe here. We visited them, and he had an old Shabbos with them. That's it, all talking and chatting. Sunday morning, he had a flight back to New York. Now, when he came to Anchorage, the families who were here, the word spread out that the rabbi who was the chaplain came for a visit. Everyone knew about it in town. An hour before his flight, before he has to go to the airport, there's a knock on the door at the Green family where he was staying there, which are the major families here in Anchorage. And there are two Jewish lawyers who said, we came here for the pipeline. It was the beginning of the pipeline, the oil pipeline. And we are in the year after our father passed away. We want to say cash. We know we cannot make $1 million every day, but at least we want to make $1 million. Let's try to make $1 million. And this young rabbi sitting there and thinking to himself, wow, maybe that's what the Rebbe meant. It's not an Orthodox synagogue. Because the Orthodox synagogue in English. And he said, the Greens were a big family in Idaho. They had like 4 or 5 people, these 2 guys. We have to make focus on other 4 people to make sure there is $1 million. But he has to go to the airport. So it happened to be that Mr. Green, in those days, in 1980, Alaska was still a small place. He had connections with the person who owns the airport. So Mr. Green said, "How much do you need time? I'll call in to stop the plane for you. He delayed the plane." So he said, "I need like an hour." So he said, "Okay, I'll call in. I have my connections. We'll delay the plane for you." They delayed the plane for him for an hour. He made the 6 calls that he needed to make for the 6 Jews he knew, and it started that Shabbos. And because of that 1 hour, the Rebbe said, to take 1 hour you can accomplish, that's why I'm here. Because what happened, he started the show, and then Perry Green's daughter, who went to Stern College, because of the Shir Baruch Hu, used to come here every year and to give books and encourage her to go to camps and everything. She married a film guy from Yeshiva University. He moved in with a lawyer. He moved to Alaska. He became the leader of the Minyan, and therefore they became a Guk Chavurah in their homes. And then in 1991, when he left 1990, when he left to become a chinuch for his children, for education for his kids, he left to Seattle, and they already had a meeting for 10 years. They needed a leader. So therefore they came to Chabad and asked for a permanent shliach. So from that 1 hour, it all started at the Chabad Sunday. But the Rebbe said to him, when he came back to 770 on Sunday, he saw the Rebbe before his flight, and the Rebbe looked at him and smiled, like saying, I know you did your job. He wrote in that he started the show, but he didn't realize. He said it took him time to catch. But the Rebbe said 1 hour, and it actually was that 1 hour. And that from then everything's happening in Chabad of Alaska today. We took Chabad and 3 shluchim. Everything is all because that 1 hour the Rebbe told him to go to Alaska. So the reason why I'm telling you those stories is not because of Alaska. I'm telling the story because it's the same shlichut is to all of us everywhere in the world. As I just told the kids who came here to the camps, who came into this Shabbos for the Chashat Sefer Torah, for the Torah dedication. I told them that the Rebbe made this generation everyone for shlochim. Why? Because the reality is there are 14 million Jews in the world. How many shlochim do we have in the whole world? Let's say 5,000 shlochim. Each shliach, each rabbi cannot handle more than 300 people. Understand how much can a rabbi have time in a day to deal with? So how could 5,000 Chabad rabbis take care of 14 million Jews? Maybe let's say there are 3 million Orthodox Jews, but the rest are 10 million Jews. So the answer is that every Jew knows Aleph, he needs to become a shliach to teach another Jew. So if there are Jews who are sitting on this call and on this Zoom, and obviously they connected to the rabbi, that means they know more than us. But it's a shlichut. Every one of us has to be a shliach. Every one of us we have all friends in business and relatives. We need to take responsibility for every Jew. That's what the Rebbe meant. Everyone has to be a shliach, meaning that everyone has to be a responsible. Everyone has to feel responsibility for another Jew. You have a Jew that invite him to Rosh Hashanah. You know he's not going to go to shul for Rosh Hashanah. If he doesn't want to go to shul, bring him a matzah. Bring him honey and cake. Every one of us needs to be a shliach. We all must take responsibility for Judaism, for the state of Judaism in the world. That's what the Rebbe meant, that every Jew in this generation is to be a shliach. It doesn't mean that you have to be a rabbi and you have to start a Chabad center. That means that you take responsibility for all the family members and all relatives and all friends. And if that should be the message we come out from this Zoom, will be all work. Each one of us should be a shliach, and you should know when you make that switch in your brain and you decide to become a shliach, all of a sudden you'll see unbelievable miracles and stories in your life from people that you helped, and they'll give you such satisfaction that you will never believe ever you had before. Just making a phone call to a Jewish friend and say, hey, it's this Friday, you should light Shabbos candles. We're getting ready. We're getting ready for before the high holiday. It's already 6 weeks for the high holiday. Let's start Shabbos candles custom at least one time. You will see the joy that that person that you reached out will have, and the joy that you will have from reaching out. And the same thing about tefillin. If you know how to put on tefillin, and you ask a friend to put on tefillin, you will not believe it that you have friends that you know them for 50 years, and they'll be so happy that you asked them. And you will feel the satisfaction that you inspire the Jewish soul, and that person will feel. I have people who come to our Jewish museum from all over the world, literally from all over the world. People come to Alaska, and they come to the airport. One of our members of our show, they manage all the airports in Alaska, in June or in February in Anchorage. So they put all the signage. So they put a big sign about our Jewish museum. People come here, they come to the Jewish museum, and then they ask the curator, who is behind this museum? And across the street, across in the parking lot, is our Chabad Center. She said, yeah, it's the Chabad Center. They come in, they can see the synagogue, they see the rabbi. They come, I take them upstairs to the sanctuary, where you could see the mountain. I tell them, don't you want to have a picture and a video to show your grandchildren how you put on film right now to Alaska's mountains? And they all melt away and they put on film. It's my best mitzvah thing that I ever could have built, that Jewish museum. Because people want to be reached out. It's only a matter of to know how to do it. And the Rebbe gave us that smile that the Rebbe had. And every Jew who becomes a shliach gets that smile from the Rebbe. So if you make that switch in your brain, you say, I'm going to take responsibility for all the Jews I know, to give them something, even just to send them a lulav for sukkah as a gift. Just order a lulav and send them. Anything you could do, you'll see how you'll inspire them and you'll inspire yourself. And with that, I think we are we done, Rabbi?
Well, thank you very much for the informative and inspirational stories. I think we have some questions from the audience. And, as I was looking around on the internet for some information about the Alaska Jewish community, I came across the museum that you mentioned. And what caught my eye, very interestingly, was that there was some connection, but I didn't understand it. Maybe you can explain the connection between Alaska and I think the exhibit was called On the Wings of Eagles, between Alaska and the Operation Magic Carpet to take the Yemenite Jews out of Yemen.
Yes. That's actually a very interesting exhibit, very interesting story. And the reason why we put that story is because the museum is made for Jews and non-Jews. The non-Jews will not come to a synagogue, they'll come to a museum. So what we wanted in the museum to show, because our senators, every state has 2 senators only. As much as Chicago is a very important, Illinois is a very important state, however, you only have 2 senators. What can we do? Alaska also has 2 senators. So the 2 senators in Alaska are very important for votes for Israel. They always vote for Israel because in the Jewish community, we have several people who have been very active. For example, Mr. Gatztin, Mr. Green. Mr. Gatztin was one of the founding members of AIPAC National. He just passed away. So they're always very active with the senators, and therefore they always vote for Israel. However, there are people constantly calling them, why are you voting for Israel? What do we care about Israel? So the senators, we have a very good relation with the senators. For example, U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan from Alaska just was here for that. We have how many U.S. senators come to the Patrol dedication? And this senator with his wife came, and the new mayor of Anchorage came with his wife. So we have a good relation with them. And they always tell us that people call them all the time. Why are you voting for Israel? Why do we care for Israel? So we did this exhibit to show people the relationship. How in 1949, how non-Jewish Alaskan pilots flew all the way to the Middle East from Alaska, all the way to the Middle East to take Yemenite kids, refugees from Yemen to Israel in an illegal way, smuggle them out from Israel. That's an amazing story that shows to a non-Jew that the non-Jews had such a kindness that helped Jews. And the real story is how they got to the Alaska island, because what happened was that after the Holocaust, the Joint was doing airlifts in Berlin. So several of the companies that participated was the Alaska company, Alaska. The Alaska was not a regular, they didn't regular flight, they were chartered out. but they chartered airlines for different projects. So therefore, they would, and when they got to know them, they saw that they are tough bush pilots. So they figured that for Israel, in a situation where you can't stop from Yemen to Israel, it's all countries who are going to be enemy countries. And they were shot on, and they were bombed. They would park the planes in Cyprus, not in Tel Aviv, because they were afraid they would be bombed. So they knew that Alaska pilots, bush pilots, are tough as well. And the pilots themselves thought it would be 10 flights, 20 flights, but then it became 100 flights, and things happened to them. So they had to, there was a big criticism in Alaska against that. Why are we putting our people in danger? So they were so emotionally connected to those Yemenite children that they couldn't stop. So they officially announced that they're not doing it anymore. And they faked it, and they took off the name Alaska, and they painted a fake name, Near East Airlines. They made up a name, and they continued the flight till they finished putting on the trip. And just and so that's one of the exhibits, and that's why it's common. And we had actually a funny story with a Yemenite family from Israel who came here. They went to the museum and they said, now we understand what we have had in our house for many years. We never understood what it meant. Because in Israel, when you come into Israel, there is a document you have to fill out how you came. So when their parents came to Israel, they started like happy, not taking the museum. So it says, how do you came to Israel? By boat or by plane? So it says Alaska in Hebrew. They never understood. Their parents went to Alaska to come to Israel. They didn't understand. They thought planes. They know which plane. They know who made it, what. So we have it now. Alaska has actually bought them. So that's a beautiful thing.
Very, very beautiful. It's Baruch Hashem, it's amazing. All right, so let's throw it open to the audience. If anyone has any questions, you can unmute yourself on the computer by pressing the space bar. If you're on the phone, you can unmute yourself by pressing star and then 6. And once you're not muted anymore, you can just go ahead and ask your question. So while we're waiting for other people to unmute themselves, what about, you mentioned before that there are people who ask the senators, why are we doing this for Israel and so on. Do you experience personally, or do any of your community members experience any kind of anti-Semitism from the general population?
That's a good question. Actually, we had just lately, we had a story a few months ago that someone middle of the night put swastika stickers in our museum building. There was a big uproar in Alaska about this, and the senators and the governor and the mayors, they all sent us support cards and letters and phone calls and emails from all over Alaska, and people said it's not Alaska all about, and so on, and it was in the news, and we had the footage of the video of the man who did it, and unfortunately the FBI and the police are not so capable like in New York. They never caught him, but it's okay. It was only stickers, thank God, nothing more. But when we did a Pastor it was planned months before. But because of that story, we renamed the event to a Jewish Solidarity Festival. We made a parade in the streets, and many people came to join us. It was a beautiful, beautiful event. The answer. What is our answer to a hate crime? Our answer is we will go stronger with joy and with That's the Chabad answer for this kind of stuff. But yeah, but there's not much. There's a little bit here and there throughout the years.
Is there any, being that Alaska is so close to Russia, and it used to be part of Russia, so do you have any traces of like a connection with Russia or Russian Jews?
Alaska is, are very big. As you know, it's twice the size of Texas, twice and a half the size of Texas. However, we do have some families whose their great grandparents are from Russia, and the reason that in different historical books of Alaska, there is mention of the Jewish people who live in Alaska. However, because I said Alaska is so big, Anchorage was never built during the time of Russia. Anchorage is a total new yeshiva, a new place. So related to the halachic question, the international date line and so on. So Anchorage is a total new place. Alaska, the capital of Russia, Alaska, was in Sitka, which is near Juneau, which is a beautiful, beautiful little island. That was the capital of Alaska in Russia, under Russia. So, but yeah, even the person who raised the flag when they changed when they changed from Russia to America was also Jewish. Baruch Hashem, the Jews were everywhere.
And very active too.
Yeah, very active and very, very productive.
Yeah. Where do you get your kosher food from? Is it from Seattle or?
We used to get it from California because Seattle, when we came, was not developed yet to that level. Mm-hmm. The last 15 years, we get it from Seattle.
This is Mo Headington from the western suburbs. I've done environmental work for many years, and I'm curious for your perspective because about 15 years ago, I attended a lecture by NASA scientists in Chicago, how there was a 10-year window where we better get serious about climate change, and the world's now experiencing the lack of that seriousness. But, I mean, what we see here are, heart-wrenching pictures of the melting water and the seals that don't have anywhere to habitate. And I just would like something of your perspective, whether the synagogue is involved in anything having to do with the environment, because I know Judaism does reference care of the earth in many of our readings.
Absolutely. We have many members of our synagogue who are very involved in climate change. We actually have a lady who is so fine. She's actually leading one of the organizations in town on that subject. I could only say from personal experience that when we came to Alaska, it was bitter cold in the winter. The winter was long, and now things have changed. We used to have a very, very cold summer. Now we have a long summer. So there's no question about it. There's a change, and that climate change is real. And we all know that the Talmud already tells us that the Mashiach will come. Almighty God will take out the sun and it's not peak, and it's covered. And it will shine, and the heat will come stronger to the world. So climate change is probably another sign of the coming of Mashiach and the change of the world. But overall, yes, we Jews are responsible. We all know the first two words that were told to Adam and Rishon, to Adam and Eve, when Ovdol, somewhat that they were put in the Garden of Eden to protect it and to guard it and to take care of it. So it's our responsibility to take care of the world, and we should definitely take full responsibility, and we are. And that's why I always tell people that the only people in the world who actually do something real climate change are Orthodox Jews. Because show me one group in the world that don't drive for 24 hours every week. There are 7 times, a seventh of their life, they don't drive. Show me one group. Even among those who are working for climate change, they drive to their meetings. Only people in the world who actually take care of climate change is Orthodox Jews. They have 21 days a year of holidays, which is almost a month. And they have every Shabbat that they don't drive. And they don't use anything which adds energy. So here you have, so we the Orthodox Jews definitely, so I invite everyone who cares for climate change to start keeping Shabbat and not to drive on Shabbat. So it will be the greatest contribution to climate change by not driving. I know there is a new thing in America that people want to have neighborhoods where they could walk. To the shop and so on, and the purpose is to basically to decrease the use of cars. So here, by being Orthodox, that's why Orthodox Jews always live close to the synagogue. So this whole idea comes from Judaism. The whole idea that they want to have now today neighborhoods in downtown, where they live next to a shop, they can walk, all kinds of Judaism. We always want to live next to the synagogue, want to walk. So I invite everybody to do that, and definitely if the entire Jewish nation, 14 million people, would be keeping Shabbat, can you imagine how much decrease of energy we would have in this world and would help climate change? And then Moshiach would come, and the power would tell them, all the Jews will keep Shabbat, one Shabbat, you Shabbat. Imagine that, 10 Shabbat. So that's one of the ways. But for sure, we are Alaskans. We do see it, and we really try constantly about our scientists to go to Bear, Alaska. I don't know if you've heard of Bear, Alaska, which is in the North Pole. I've been there once for a week. It's actually an interesting story why I went there. Every 2 years, there is a meeting, all the countries to share the North Pole, like Russia, Canada, all the countries, Europe is gone, America, for. But at the same time, when there is a meeting of all the countries, it's called the anyway, a name for that conference every 2 years. So there is also a conference of all the native elders from that country. Alaska, from Russia, the native elders, and that's really great. Many years ago, maybe 20 years ago, I was invited to speak at this conference. What was the topic? The topic was that the native communities is suffering a problem, had a terrible problem with the youth. The youth are trying to become part of America, part of the society, and they are confused because they can't maintain their own language, and they can't adapt to the new one. So they wanted to ask me how the Jewish people manage to be in exile all over the world. And they were always part of society and became doctors and lawyers and trying to make contribution to society. And at the same time, they became their language and their people and their religion and so they want to understand, we have to share with them the wisdom of the Jews, how they made it. How were they able to, because by then it's only 100 years that they are with the new world, and their youth is really struggling with the old tradition and adapting to the new. And some of them, a lot of those youth are very troubled because they can't adapt to the new one, and they can't continue with the old one because the new world is confusing them. So they want to know. So I spoke to them about the 7 life laws, how this, the Torah was given to everyone, all humanity. Jews have the 15th commandment, non-Jews have the seven great international values that the Almighty God gave to know after the Great Flood. After the Great Flood, and explained them the details of it. So they were very inspired. They said they want to implement that, and then it will inspire their children to understand. I told them that probably most of the traditions that they have, the native people, come from the children of Noah. And therefore, those traditions are, like elders, all kinds of traditions that they have comes from good foundation, and they should be able to explain to the people, they continue with that, and there is great value in those traditions, even as a modern person, the modern world. Anyway, I think we extended our time. So, hi everybody, pleasure to talk to you, and we will see you maybe in the future.